I do this every time, y'all. I really do. I do this every time. Had the mic on mute and everything. But welcome, welcome, welcome again. It's your girl, Miss J, all day. And we are here for an awesome episode, y'all. Awesome episode. I got some great men in the background that I will be bringing up that will be my guest panelists on today. And we are really going to dive in this 3-part series on the entire perspective of men. And this is something that you rarely see. It's something that's definitely needed. We have sister circles. We've got all types of, women's groups and things of that nature, but you rarely see anything that is actually geared to men and to be able to have ways that help to strengthen men or to give them insightful commentary. So this is what I propose for these next 3 episodes of this series. So with that being said, I am going to bring up some of my guests. We've got my brother-in-law. He's coming up. Charles, so glad you could be here.
Yes, happy to be here.
Next up, we've got one of our fan favorites, Chris. Coach Chris, come on up.
What it do?
Next up, we have another brother of mine, Fred. Come on up, sir.
What's going on? How's everybody?
All right. And we have, of course, the renowned Chad Nails. I call him Dr. Chad. Come on up, Chad.
So happy to be back. Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Yes. Now, we also got a face here that we haven't seen in a while, but I am so glad this brother is back, okay? Come on up, Dedrick.
How y'all doing, guys? How y'all doing, man? I've been stuck in compliance world, so I had to go focus on my day job.
I
understand that.
Folks trying to get in houses. We're in the home buying season, so folks trying to get their money to buy the houses.
Hey, so keep listening up now. If you all are in search of a home, call my brother up. He will definitely get you straight, especially if you're in the Houston area. What other areas do you work?
Man, we are multi-state. So Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida. So our viewing audience, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida. We are, and I hate to say this, but I just want to be totally honest. We're the only financial institution, a non-depository bank that is owned by people of color, south of the Mason-Dixon line. Okay. Just want to be honest with you. So this is almost 30 years of experience of underwriting. So as you know, in underwriting, these are the people who approve the loan, not the loan officer, not the processor, but the underwriters. And, if you Google me or you LinkedIn me, you see my experience, but eyes and knowledge is power. And that is, it's not about color why we don't get into homes. It's all about who you align yourself with will get you that opportunity. But this is not today's topic.
True.
So I just want to do that zinger out there, but I want to step to the subject matter what we got today, Ms. J.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that spill, Dedrick. We needed that information. We needed that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother conversation later, but especially with so much misinformation that's out there, that's something we need to target to, because social media is really destroying us as it's destroying us live and well. It's beyond the plague or any COVID, any disease, especially because again, the manipulation of power is the recipe of a disaster. So, but again, we want to stick to the subject matter today.
No.
Man, dude got me fired up already, man.
I know, right? I know, right? I know, right?
It's a conversation. It's a conversation waiting.
Well, next up, I have another special guest of mine coming up. And this gentleman hasn't been on in a while. But I will say I love it every time that he is here. I'm an active participant and viewer of his live shows as well. Let me bring up former Miami journalist Fabian Lyon. Come on up to the stage, sir.
Hey, Miss J, how you doing?
I'm good. So glad you could be here again. So glad. Love to see you again.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here with the brothers as well, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
All right, man. Blessing to be here, man. Blessing to be here.
And next up, we have, let me tell you about this brother here, okay? I've been knowing him for a while. I used to work with this guy, and even then, he was just like a grinder. You know what I mean? Like he just loves his family. He's all about making sure that his community is straight. Like, I love this cat, you know? So I've got to bring up my boy, Trey. Come on up, sir.
How's everybody doing, man?
What's happening, fam?
Brother?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate those words too, Miss J. I really do.
You are welcome. You deserve them. You deserve them.
Amen.
So, with that being said, let's kind of get started because, like I said, with this whole series, what my intention is to bring light to those individuals to kind of get some insight on what you all think is men. You know what I mean? A lot of times as women, we do not, and I'll say this even for myself, we don't always pay attention to you all. We love what you do for us, but we don't pay attention to you. We don't necessarily listen to you intently in what you need to be. So I wanted to give you this opportunity to be able to, again, voice your opinion on some of the topics that we're going to be discussing today and to give your insight so that women everywhere would be able to understand the perspective in which you have. So one of the topics that I really wanted to dive into is the definition of a good man. Okay. Now, I will say, as women, we have our own definition, and some can be very superficial. You know, they look at the fact of, oh, well, again, what can you do for me? How you can provide for me? You know, things of that nature, which to me now, I understand that those are more superficial. You definitely want to have a man that has good moral fiber, you know, has some sort of spiritual background, something that can sustain you in the course of your interaction and in the course of your relationship or marriage, if that's what you have. So I wanted to kind of get a perspective from each of you as to what you dictate as the quote unquote good man and how good men are not being, I guess you could say, acknowledged properly. So whoever want to go first.
Well, Dr. Charles, I'm gonna let Dr. Charles go first because he's the senior of the group, so we're gonna let Dr. Charles crank it up, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
He's the elder.
Yep. Senior. Yeah. So the definition of a good man is very subjective, of course. But for me, I think we can start with just being settled. I think a good man is just someone who's settled. And what do I mean by being settled? Well, when it comes to marriage, I am settled with my wife. I don't want anybody else. I mean, I see women, they're fine, they're this or that. I mean, I love to look, but I'm settled. I'm going home to my wife. She is where my blessings lie. So that's just a start, being settled. And then we can go from there. There's so many other things, but just knowing that you have that one person in your life who you depends on you, just being settled.
I'll pick it back to what Dr. Williams said, but it goes back in today's time. It goes back to daddy versus the mama sneaky link. It goes back to, and I mean dad, I'm talking about her father, if she has a father. We live in today's culture whereas that we have fatherless homes. So who is setting the barometer? Who's setting the minimum standards? Who's setting the baseline? Who's setting the rubric of what is a quality man? Is it the streets? Is it entertainers? Is it what you see visual on TV? Is you see what who sets that? And usually sets based on who actually house you every single day, which is most cases now the mother. Okay, and what type of lifestyle she lives? Is she still harboring over that she didn't have a daddy, or she's harboring that she don't know what a good man is? How would she know what a great man is? Because those things are led by example. I could put a billboard right on 285, at Memorial Drive in Atlanta. It still won't make a difference until you actually live that every single day to see that display on a day-to-day basis, good, bad, and the ugly. What is a quality man? And so today's time has been flipped. The script is more based on who is the hottest bidder, who looks apart. And sometimes some women take a downgrade because of power and control. I want a child, I want a simp. So it's just that now the game is, all the rules have been thrown away now, because now it comes down to values. You got to ask the question, what values that you want and desire? And that's the question that as men have to ask, and as well as women to ask, what values do you possess? So that's my 2 cents to it.
Love it, Dedrick. Okay, who's next? I gotta hear this.
I could go next. I guess a younger brother on here. I don't want to say that, but I might be part of the younger generation. But I believe before you could talk about, I'm married as well, but before you could talk about the union, you have to first talk about the actual person himself, and determine what that man, what he represents. So I was raised by, a single mother and a loving father from a distance. But for me, what makes me, and I know I'm a good man because I know my worth, but I believe in Christ. I put him as my cornerstone, and then I try to follow, the tutelage from that. I try to do right by people. We're not going to always hit the mark. So, I mean, a lot of times people are judged based on, what they can do or how they're, what they're able to bring to the table. But I mean, are you still a good man if you can't provide? In my opinion, yes. It's all depending on, where you are at the stages that you are in your life and what you decide to do to be better. Are you pushing the best version of yourself even when you feel like the lowest? Like, how are you? Are you trying to do what's right? We don't always do what's right, right? I mean, if we're talking about marriage, is that being faithful or is that providing? Because I mean, a lot of times, brothers that can provide, a lot of them aren't faithful. Are they good men? And a lot of times, the faithful men can't provide. So, I mean, I think it boils down to the standards that you set for yourself first. You know what I mean? Like who's your head in your life? For me, it's God, then my family, then myself. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. This is a deep topic, because a lot of bros gonna say I'm a good guy, but I believe the bad guys know that they're bad guys. Honestly, I mean, you know what you're trying to do, what you're not trying to do. A lot of bros are trying to put the best version of themselves ahead of everything else that they do scandalous. I mean, I don't know, but that's my 2 cents.
I love it. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I know you see me cheesing because I'm like, listen, ain't no need, ain't no need for me to shake up the algorithm because Diedrich, man, he just did it already, man. He already did it. So, but this is good stuff. I like this topic because you're going to get different layers and different definitions and different examples of what a good man is. And me personally, I feel like so far, what the other 3 brothers have discussed, all of those are good men. For me, what I'm gathering from this is, a good man is a man who is balanced. That's someone who is courageous, but also, someone who can shows compassion. A good man is someone who is strong, but also sensitive. A good man is someone who is, he's gentle, but he's dangerous at the exact same time. I think about a lion and a lamb. He knows how to interchange, from one from the other. He's not a punk. I think Diedrich brought it up. He brought up simp. I tell people to stay away from the nice guy. Stay away from that person and surround yourself around good men, because good men are the ones who are balanced. Good men are the ones who can interchange through both, and they're not just on one side. They're balanced. They're not nice guys, or the people that you got to stay away from, because they are the ones that are wishy-washy. They're the ones that are all over the place, and they don't set boundaries. They don't have standards. They don't have morals. They don't have code. They don't have character. But good men are the ones who are balanced. Those are the ones you want to. Those are the ones you want to be around. Are good men. I like what the last brother said. He brought up Christ. I feel him on that, because I think that a good man also, is someone whose identity is also in God, our Creator. That's where that comes from. And I feel like a good man is someone who identity and purpose comes from the Most High. That comes from my Creator. That motivation, that juice, that feel good, that go to just get out here and go and move and shake and do, the good works of a good man. All of that stems from my Creator. So for me personally, that's a good man right there, man. Someone who is balanced, someone who loves and lives from the heart, from his own heart, and just do the goodness from that right there. That's a good man right there. It's not someone who is wishy-washy. It's not someone who is backstabbing simps and things like that. I agree with Diedrich. I agree with brother Charles. I also agree with brother Lee. It's like this topic right here. You're going to get multiple layers of multiple definition of what a good man is. But in a nutshell, it's all a good man. We're saying different things, but we're all saying the exact same thing at the exact same time, if that makes sense. And that's my spiel right there.
All right, that makes good sense. That makes good sense. Okay, Mr. Fabian, you're in the corner there. Let me get your input as well, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Miss J. The first thing that comes to mind is acknowledging your lady as an individual, not broad brushing her and say woman this, woman that. I think that's where sometimes we fall short. I think listening to your significant other, asking her what she wants is a big part of a relationship, not assuming that she's liking this or she's liking that, and really asking her what her needs are. And by then, you'll know exactly where you stand and what she needs. A big word that sticks out for me in the past few years is protection. I feel right now that we're in the midst of a gender war, unfortunately, and I would hope that we could get back to acknowledging that it's okay if we disagree with our significant other. That does not mean that we're on different teams. We're on the same team. We got to keep it pushing, and we're not always here to feel good about everything together. But the main thing is, for me, is that drawing that line in the sand with my lady and knowing that I'm there to protect her at all costs.
Well, I will say this, and I don't want to cut anybody else's time from answering, but you made a point of you as a man being attentive to your woman's needs. But at the same time, I feel like it's important for a woman to be attentive to your needs because this is a two-way street. You know, if we are going to acknowledge you as the head of our household or the head, of our unit, then we have to be able to honor you the same way that you honor us. And I feel like a lot of women don't really do that.
Well, how can they? Ms. J, it's like Fabian said, and all due respect to Fabian, it's how the foundation is set. When you build a home, you have to build a foundation first before you put the frame. So if the foundation is set, whereas there's no skin in the game put on the opposite side, you can't go back and change that once the roof is installed. It's too late. Okay. So you have to establish that early. And that is why I don't believe in dating. It's why you get involved. So that's why it's called transitioning. Because once transitions are never easy. Dating's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Get involved is true work because both sides are actually coming together and putting their values. They're placing everything on the table. They putting their skin in. And then that's when the time to say, hey, this is going to be a union or it's not. But if you go in and actually trying to not be rejected, try not to be canceled, try not to be turned down, cannot to be blocked or unfollow, whatever it is to be rejected, then that's where it's going to be. It's going to be one-sided. But only way you have that joint effort, those things have to be established up front as a union together. But you got to lay down the groundwork early. You can't wait until once you commit and say, well, why you didn't do nothing for me? No, you should do that early. It's too late for that because the foundation of the union, it starts day one, not day 50th.
I agree with
See
that.
that brother right there.
Yeah.
My
And
bad.
let me
Yeah,
add,
no,
no,
you
no,
good,
no.
man.
And add to this is that that's why I said a lot of times we get so focused on trying to impress, but not trying to get involved. Stop the impression. Stop getting into a character mode. Be yourself because she got to accept you for who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if she can't accept that trifecta, why she's with you? That's, I mean, it's common human. That's human nature,
That's
human
it.
psychology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
make it more harder than
I
what it
agree.
is. Yeah.
I agree. No, it goes two ways, man. And this is something that, we've got too comfortable with this, man. And this is why I appreciate spaces like this where men are here and we can speak, we can talk our talk, we can, speak our voices because society caters to, what the women needs and what the women wants, etc. And that's all fine and good. But we don't talk about what men need and what men want and things of that nature. We gotta cut that out because you have a lot of men who are broken, wounded, miserable, etc. Because we're conditioned to just cater to what the women needs and her emotions and feelings. We got that on lock, but it's 2024 and it's like men are still suffering because no one's listening to us and what we have to say. And even when we do speak up, it's like it's pushed to the side. It's like, oh, I don't like the way you're talking, or I don't like this, I don't like that. I'm talking to you like a human being, like someone who has feelings, who has emotions, but because society is catered not to listen to us, now it's an issue and it goes unappreciated. It goes not listened to, man. And so listen, I appreciate this because this is good right here. Yes, take care of our women, take care of our emotions, but the men matter too, and that's what everyone is saying right here, and I appreciate that.
I agree. Um, One of the things I think that Dedrick touched on and you touched on, Chris, is the human part of it. Just because, and the way I see it is, a good man recognizes the humanity in him first, so that way he can recognize and acknowledge the humanity in other people. Before we were considered man and woman, we were human beings first. So we have to recognize the human aspect of all of us because we all have the same feelings, the same emotions. And if I can recognize the humanity in you as my brother or you as my sister, then that means now I can relate. I can relate to you. I can relate to you. It doesn't. We don't have to have the same. We don't have to have the same experiences. We don't have to always have the same shared experiences for us to relate to each other. Sometimes a conversation can bring about relations, can bring about a relationship, bring about a form of understanding. And the other thing to me, a good man, and Chad, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong when I say this. And he said it on a previous podcast we was on with Miss J. Nice men are episodic. Good men are systemic.
Mm.
Did I say that right, Chad?
I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna come in. I got you. I'm gonna come in
Okay,
with
cool. But
no, but I got you.
okay, cool. That's fine. But I think what to me a good man also is a man of honor, is a man of um integrity, fealty, loyalty. All those things are what we've all talked about. Um One of the other things I think that a good man has the heart of a warrior, but a soul of a peacemaker. You know, a lot of times, especially with these younger gentlemen, a lot of these cats like to go to war all the time, and that's not a thing. That's not a thing. You can make a good man, a great man will try to make peace first before anything starts off.
But Frederick, let me pause you for 1 second, if you don't mind. But how can you not be that way if you're raised in an environment that's that way, because they don't have a balance in their home? So like Trey had his dad from a distance, unless his mother dispatched quality men in his life. But a lot of these mothers don't do that. I can do all by myself. Okay. And so if you're always into bitch mode, your child gonna be in bitch mode, daughter, son, or even the damn dog in the house. So let's just learn. Frederick, go back. I'm sorry, Frederick. Let you go
But
back and take over
but
again, man.
but for real, but to come to kind of toss back against that, Dale, now we can dialogue. Is what you just said, what the type of person that you just mentioned, is that a warrior? Truly, no, he's not.
That's a fool.
Exactly. That's not a true warrior, man. A true warrior doesn't want constant war. They want peace first.
Mm-hmm.
And they only go to war when peace is interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
In order to bring it back to order. Yes. All right. And on that note, I'm gonna finally chime in. I feel like I've been sitting at the starting line with my foot on the brake and the gas. I'm taking my foot off the brake.
Let's go.
So my take on a good man, the first thing I thought about is, and I know I'm about to get some nods on this, a man who's on purpose. A man who's on purpose. Now that does well, I forget which brother even said it. Doesn't mean that we always get it right, but it means that we have a mind, that we develop a mindset of always pursuing it, a hunger and a thirst, if I may use that. Fred, I love that you even remember that I said that from the last one. Good men are episodic. Kind men are systemic. Nowhere in any scripture does it call for us to be nice. It calls for us to be kind. Right? That doesn't always mean kind. Doesn't mean nice. Nice men, nice people agree with stuff because it's nice to do so. Kind men, we don't do that. We can respectfully disagree, and sometimes even if it calls for it, disrespectfully disagree. But it still points towards our character. It still points towards the standards that we seek and wish to uphold. So when I think about a good man, I'm thinking about a man who's seeking out what he's here to do, and not just what he's here to do in terms of utility or ability. I'm talking about what he's here to do in terms of his nature.
Mm-hmm.
What are you here to influence? And I love that you were talking about the different types of influences, Brother Diedrich. You were talking about the different influences that can happen in the household and stuff like that. And just as much as those influences can be initiated, it is I would almost dare say it is our life purpose to figure out what's supposed to stick from what we have to unlearn. I was raised in a wonderful household with two very loving parents, not the super greatest in terms of communication, but they were here, married for 50 plus years until my father transitioned. And there were a lot of things that I gathered from them that I can absolutely attribute to making me the kind and upstanding man that I am. In addition to that, I'm not even going to say but, because I don't want to contradict what I just said. In addition to that, as I came more of age and as I became more of an independent thinker and more of a critical thinker, I realized that there were things, just like you were talking about, Brother Diedrich, that this even if they meant well, or even if they justified it, worst case scenario, even if they justified bad behavior, and it was influenced in the household, I had to, as a man, go back and look and examine and say, this don't fit. This does not fit. Oh, Chad, you're going against the family. I don't care. This doesn't fit. And that's part of what being a good man is. You have to figure out your lane, what it is that you're supposed to be doing, who it is that you're supposed to be with or not be with, what it is that you're supposed to say, when and where you're supposed to go or not go. That's what I mean by when I say a man on purpose. You want to be a good man, that's what you do.
My bad. Listen, bro, I love what you're saying, and I'm not trying to hijack the talk show, Miss J.
Yeah.
No,
But
go
see, my
ahead.
thing is, yeah, my dilemma is, and everything what everyone is saying, man, is on point and it's beautiful and it is great. My issue, my dilemma is that when good men and kind men, and like he said, his own purpose is doing things and setting boundaries and setting, things in place. Why is that frowned upon though? Like, why is the nice guy? Yeah, why is the nice guy, you know, placed on this pedestal? Why is he esteemed above the kind man or the good man?
It's entertainment. It's simple. It's entertainment. So we go
Go ahead.
back to a life now that everything is focused on what looks good to media. I talked about in the beginning of the show about social media and based on what's conversations on the phone or at happy hour at brunch. So which brunches now is the new church. Okay, I don't know why people. Church has got competition now. It's called brunches on a Saturday and Sunday morning, late early afternoon. Okay, realistic. Okay, so you have to compete with that because you have an audience that live a superficial world that displays on who is the highest bidder financially and entertaining. So if I am nice, then I earn cool points that I can redeem for privileges because I can do whatever I want to do, say whatever I want to do, and I'm talking about the other side, and do whatever I want to do, and there's no accountability. So if you don't bring that to his head or even recognize it or speak about it, or you on Mount Rushmore, okay? And then on top of it, if you match it with your financial ability, man, you are daddy, okay? But I guarantee that to you. I say 99.9% of females who had a father don't have that mindset because what they focus on is making sure that you, Charles, brother Chris, brother Chad, brother Frederick, and brother Trey, brother Fabian, to establish a legacy. So where's it 3 generations while you long and gone and said, man, Paw Chris was off the chain. That was a good dude. Paw Frederick, man, that man was brilliant. He had this knowledge, and brother Trey, man, he was as cool as a fan. But man, he didn't take no mess. But guess what? He kept it 100. And he was always there for me. So everything goes back to legacy. And that's something in our community. We lost that because we lost structure. We thought, babe, as long as you make it 200,000 a year and you doing this business or working this corporation, you the man. No, it's all about the hard conversations at 1 o'clock in the morning that you have on Christmas Eve night and talking to your family about life, about making good choices and decisions. We have to get back to that, but guess what? That's not social media friendly. That's not brunch friendly. And sometimes it's not church friendly.
You're talking about 2 major things that I've been juggling in my head already. You're talking about value and context. To answer your question, Coach Chris, the reason why the nice guy gets put over the good man is because the nice guy is pliable. The nice guy fits inside a dynamic that allows for people to get over it. You can't get over it. You can't get over a kind man. You can't get over a wise man. You can't get over it. You can't sucker a good man, a kind man or a wise man or a just man. You can sucker a nice guy because he's going to do whatever he feels he has to do in order to remain in this realm of being nice. And he thinks that's going to, just like Brother Diedrich said, that's going to earn him cool points according to that environment that he's in. You put a good man in that environment, they trying to get what is he trying to change up our no,
he's controlling, he's narcissistic, he's crazy, he's all those social media cliches.
Exactly. So in the realm of the context that we're talking about, and I'm saying this, Kevin Samuels only just bringing it up because Kevin Samuels talked on this a whole lot, talking about how much income we were supposed to be bringing in and stuff like that. That's only one part of the equation, because you being well off ain't gonna count for nothing if you're a douche with how you spend it. being well off though ain't gonna count for nothing if you don't take care of your family the right way, or if you don't set your kids up to be able to do better than you, which is what good men are supposed to be doing. All right, all that having all that knowledge and having those resources, but not being able to properly apply it so that the family name grows in value. The family structure the family structure grows in terms of cohesiveness and in terms of being able to better communicate. If you're not giving those type of lessons, if you're not using your time for that, you just want to drink and smoke and have a good time. And I'm not knocking drinking or smoking and have a good time, because there's a place for that. There's a time for celebration. There's a scripture that says it. There's a time to party. There's a time to handle business. There's a time to teach and a time to be taught. So as a good man, if you're not doing that, what are you really doing? Or as a man, period. Because as a good man, I believe that they have that mentality. But as a man, period, if you're not doing that, even if you don't, and I'm not even talking about just passing on to your kids. I'm talking about passing their qualities on to whoever it is you're supposed to be influencing. I don't care if that's a coworker, a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend, an ex-wife, the neighbor down the street. What are you supposed to be influencing? What type of life are you pouring into what's happening around you? We are, by virtue of it, and pay attention, look at our nature. By nature, man, we are physically designed to give life, as in nature, such as in human nature. What are you pouring into? I'm a mute.
Trey, I know you had something you wanted to say. Go right ahead.
Quick question. So I just want to just clarify, just from my understanding. I know the term "good guys finish last" is a thing, right? But are we saying that nice men or nice guys can't be good men?
It actually should have been the nice guys are the ones that finish last, or whatever the case may be, man. But no, when I when we talk about nice, at least for me, when I talk about nice men or nice guys or whatever, I think about cats who are manipulative. Like they say what they gotta say to get what they want. Think about a player
Predatory.
or a pimp. There we go. Exactly. A player or pimp, predatory, things of that nature. Good men, they don't go down that route. They keep it straight and 100 with you. They see a woman who is dressing a certain type of way. Let's say, she step out the house, G-string shorts, crop top, things of that nature. A good man is going to step to him and be like, "Hey, yo, sister, you might want to cover up because there's some predators out here," etc. The nice guy is going to come and be like, "Yo, baby, you sure do look good. Like you look fine. Like, hey, no, that's what we saying. Nice guys are more, they pray. I mean, and listen, Miss J, I hope I don't get your podcast in trouble, but I think of a nice guy like somebody like Derek Jackson, and a good guy is somebody like Kevin Samuels, because they keep it a buck with you. They're a straight shooter. They're on point with what they're saying. Somebody like Derek Jackson says nice things to get what he needs to get. A good man isn't really looking for nothing in return except for you to be a better individual. A
Mm.
nice person is looking for a come up. It's like it's a motive behind what they're trying to do.
And I'm gonna make it simple, Trey, and add on to what Chris saying. And Chris is a coach, and I coach for many years. Have you ever met a nice coach, Trey?
Never.
Won't never. Nice coaches don't make it. Nice coaches are YMCA
Facts.
or
Big
some
facts.
soccer league for real. And once you get into grade school and you get into middle and high school and college and beyond, they're assholes. Because I'm one and proud to be. And because we demand excellence.
Them the
We
best
demand
coaches as far as I'm
and we demand
concerned.
structure.
That's
And if you don't
facts.
like it, get off the field.
Them the best
Plain and
coaches as
simple.
far as I'm
Because
concerned.
we have a mission. We're gonna lose some games. We're gonna ride or die, but we're
Mhm.
gonna have structure. And life is about structure. Because if you don't have no structure, everything's gonna blow up. And that cornerstone goes into parenting. It goes into managing a home. It goes into relationship, because you have to switch a bunch of hats when you're called adulting. And what we don't promote, especially in our communities and more. We were the supreme being of structure, conservatism. We was the supreme being of of support in our families and our community. We didn't support just our own home. We support the entire community. Everybody took care of everybody. But what happened, we transitioned into a more of a Western culture now that is all for I and everything else. And that just it's really eating us alive right now. And we got to regroup, guys. We have to come back with all the counter misinformation that's out there that say it's okay to be dysfunctional. It's okay to walk away and run away. But why not fight? You know what I'm saying? We fight the wrong battles. We fight in emotions, but we don't fight. How can we bring this together? You got to take the lead. You set the tone. You're the referee and the commissioner. So who's going to be president? Who's going to be the quarterback? You don't got one quarterback. You got multiple wide receivers, multiple linemen, and you can have two running backs behind you based on the formation. But you got one quarterback who called the plays. So who is the quarterback in your life? Yourself or somebody else? Because if it's somebody else, Houston, we got a problem.
Amen.
And
Appreciate that.
a good point, because Dedrick, you brought this up as well as Chris, as far as with accountability. And there was a question posed in the audience as well. And it states, do you hold your brother accountable when they slip in their relationship or their personal endeavors? And I wanted to kind of bring that up because there again, that goes into everything that you all have been saying as far as a nice man, a good man, and a kind man. Because if you are any type of good man and you see another man that may be falling short or that's slipping, as a good man, it is still your job to be able to say, look, bruh, you're not doing this right. Or let me show you how to do it better. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of times, even as adults, a lot of men don't take that initiative to step in sometimes and say something, whereas it may cause any type of confusion or things of that nature. They rather not say. It goes.
No.
Nah.
I mean, we don't. Some
Yeah.
people like conflict. I mean, and I can understand, but at the same time, too, is that I mean, we got our own issues to deal with. Okay, and so I mean, I'm not saying that we gonna discredit if Brother Frederick came to me and said, Dedrick, okay, this is a situation. We dialogue and then we give strategies. Everything's about being strategic. It's going to halftime. We getting our ass kicked, and we're gonna make adjustments at halftime. Okay. I don't care. We up 43-0. There's always mistakes that we made. We need to improve on. And are we 0-43? We got to make adjustments at halftime. So yes, I will help Frederick. I will help Chris. I will help Charles. I will help Chad and Fabian Trey on wherever is needed. But at the end of the day, is that I can only juggle what I can have, because you don't know. I mean, I'm dealing with adult issues, parenting. You're dealing with, job. You're dealing with, medical stuff within your own family, and you may dealing with your significant other. So there's a lot of stuff you got to deal with. So me focus on where about what Frederick's life is. That's not my priority unless Frederick bring me into the arena. He say, Chad say, hey, I need your help on this. What should I do? Oh yeah, it's all 10 toes in. But I'm not going looking for what's going on in Chad life or Frederick life. That's not my responsibility, because I'm trying to hold the Fort Knox as it is right in front of me. What goes on Fort Sill and Fort Bragg, those commanders with Chad and Frederick, they taken care of their fort. I'm talking about Fort Knox and my fort that I'm focusing on.
My circle has a.
No, go ahead, bro. I gotta ask you.
I was gonna say, with my close friends, we have what we call accountability time frames. So like if I go to like my best friends and I share with them what I'm trying to accomplish, I do that purposely so that, for one, I mean, we know we're going to hold ourselves accountable, or we should be. But if we have somebody else that can kind of intervene when you're dropping the ball to let you know, like, hey, bro, you slipping. I don't care if that's being faithful to your wife. I don't care if that's trying to lose weight. I don't care if that's trying to stack money, whatever it is. Or, you falling off your square. Get back on your square. Now, for me and them, there's only so many times I'm going to allow myself to hold you accountable and you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing because I got my own circumstance to worry about, like bro Diedrich said. So, I mean, for me, it's like, hey, bro, you told me to hold you accountable. You slipping. I'm going to be your bro and let you know that. I'm not scared. I'm not worried about how you're going to feel about me because we're supposed to be brothers. Now, if you take that and get upset with me, then I know that I can't hold you to that standard any longer. And two, it's time for you to hold yourself accountable. You get me? Like, I always have a few bros around me that I trust that's going to hold me to the same standard that I hold them. You know what I mean? So that's me in my circle.
But see, that's
I'm
a
gonna
good man right
go
there.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
That right there, yeah. Now that's what a good man is right there, man. Just balance. That you just nailed it right there in a nutshell. If I'm not mistaken, the question was asked about accountability when it comes to men and this and that. And I appreciate what Brother Diedrich said. Yeah, listen, you got to hold down the fort at your own home, your own family first. But it gets it. Someone brought up that certain things on displayed on social media during this social media era. There are tons of men out here that hold other men accountable. It's just not sexy. It's not something that's
Yeah.
desirable to the eye. You know what I mean? When one black man is holding another black man accountable, it's funny because I rarely see it on social media, but I saw a post about two men in New York on the subway train, and one was older, one was younger, and the younger brother, he was struggling, with struggle. He was struggling with the book that he was reading, and then the older gentleman sees him, and he comes over, and in a quick sec, mentor him right off the rip, and I'm like, this is it right here. But this take that type of attitude and action that takes place on a everyday base is just that it is not promoted enough. Black men hold other black men accountable. I don't care what y'all see in Chicago. I don't care what y'all see in Atlanta. I don't care about the negativity y'all see in Dallas or Boston or wherever it is. There's a lot of positive brothers out here doing a lot of positive, good deeds in their community. It's just that it's not appealing to the eye. Black men are doing great things out here by keeping each other accountable. People just don't want to show it and they don't want to talk about it enough.
And Chris, I want to add something to
True.
that. Something that always brought to my attention that I don't know not one dude in my life, and I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm crossing multiple generations that don't do for their children with the mama, not with the mama, whatever. But I never seen there's so many guys that's not outside of people that I've known, employees, colleagues, people I know in personal life. I mean, I'm talking about downline from a doggone network that don't. So I always ask this question is this just the boogeyman syndrome that's out there, just a narrative that I'm gonna say this to have people to feel sorry for me? Or if that's really the truth, because I guarantee Trey, Fabian, Frederick, Chad, Brother Charles, and you, Chris, we got what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brothers here, and I know y'all some great fathers. So, Ms. J, tell me where this narrative coming from, because again, we live in a victim society, and then it's easy to make these 6 brothers, including myself, as the boogeyman. That's the conversation we need to have about. Because again, we got to do damage control and talk about things like this because like Chris said, the image out there is portrayed that we are, you know, zombies to this damn universe. But we're not. God's gift to the earth. So the question is sisters have to now start promoting that, stop focusing on this baby mama mentality that I'm a victim, and start partnering with the person you later with to bring that creation to this damn planet.
Hmm.
I
Ms.
mean,
J, you speechless there.
You said something at the
I totally agree. I totally
you
agree.
said something at the beginning, brother Netrick. I'm not. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chad.
Okay, you said something at the beginning, brother Nedrick, about the manipulation of power as a recipe for destruction or disaster. Um, you have that narrative. I wouldn't be one to say where the narrative started at. But that's definitely that. I think that definitely falls into. Um, I think that definitely falls into why you have men like us that are kind of uh, uh, brushing up against this resistance factor in terms of trying to hold people accountable. I think on the one hand, like you said, in this Western culture, there is this element of, individualism, which in ideally isn't necessarily painful or destructive in its own right, but the fact that it's been overcharged and it's been overrun to the point where people have taken it, that level of individualism to the, yeah, it's my life, no, and then it generated into, oh, nobody can tell me what to do with it, and nobody can speak on it, nobody can touch it. And I'm gonna use two super quick stories. I'm actually summarizing. One guy younger than me, one guy older than me. In each case, they not that they brought it necessarily, they brought it to my attention. I didn't just observe it, but they brought it to my attention that they were having this issue. And in each case, I held them to an accountability, and each one of them wanted to do something that I knew was counterintuitive to it was counterintuitive, and it wasn't life-giving. It wasn't mature either, or in either of that. In one case, one guy wanted to had spent all this time on trying to court this young woman, and he spent all this money, this, that, and third, and she didn't want to deal with it anymore, and he wanted to go back and cuss her out. And I said, her no left room for the one who says yes. And he stopped and he chewed on it for a second. I could see him mentally chewing on it. And he was like, yo, good look. I'm gonna take the L, but that's all right. I'm gonna learn from it. I said, good. I said, good job. In the other case, the man came to me and said, I can't do this no more. I can't be this, for you. I can't do this, whatever it is that it was. And I'm being vague for a purpose, for a reason. And I said, you don't get to stop. You have to figure out what else you need to do to go forward. You don't get to stop doing that until you transition away from this reality, from this mortal coil. You don't get to do that. All right. The young man that I'm speaking about with the woman was a complete stranger on the street. The older man that I'm referring to was my father. It's telling me he couldn't be my father anymore.
Whoa.
Two very different scenarios. He said the young man, that was over and done with. I said I had a choice to make. I was like, do I be like, oh, do I go with the status quo and just say like, hey, young man, that's all you, whatever you think, whatever you feel like, or do I step in, or do I intercede and give wisdom? And in both cases, I chose wisdom. The young man, I hope he went on and did something good with it. When it came to my father, feeling like he couldn't be my father anymore because he didn't feel like there was anything left to teach me, and he said he was done. I said, no, you're not. All right. And that could have been a fight because my father has he comes from that generation where if you say something and then you encounter resistance, them's almost fighting words. But I had to call his bluff and be like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. That'd be like me giving up on my two kids. You don't get to do that. I don't care if I'm an adult. You're still here. And as long as you're still here, you still have to father. And if you feel like you've taught me everything you know, go learn something else and then share it with me. And if I already know about it, then hey, we get to have a conversation about it. And if I don't, then that satisfies your need for imparting something to me. My point is, your job's not done. So that when he finally did transition, that was 2016. In 2021, when he transitioned, and I looked down at that body, the only thing I had to say was good job. Because he took that 5-year span. He listened, and he took that 5-year span. And in the 5 years between that conversation and him leaving, he was the best father I could have ever hoped to have.
But as fathers,
that's some accountability.
And Chad, you make an extra point is that there's no reward. That's not a paycheck that we receive as fathers. It's not as being a man. It's not a constant. It's nice to get the hugs, the sugar, the intimacy, the thank yous, all the rest of the stuff, but it's not. And so you get to a point in your life when you realize, yeah, What else more for me to do? And I'm getting beat up for trying to do right, trying to do whatever. So it's just easy for me just to, run away, to walk away. But that's why I said earlier about legacy. We have to start teaching that you're not dead presidents. And George Bush said this many years ago, you're not going to appreciate to me, I'm long and gone. Okay. And when he said that, even though politically at that time didn't agree with him, but the point that he made, you don't appreciate people until they are gone, laid in the ground or in the tomb, moved on. That's when the legacy kicks in. And that's how you start talking about, man, what this person impacted my life. That's when you get your due. That's when you see your work. As a coach, we see our work not just on victories, because nobody know about the wins and losses and the scores we had many years. It's how we see the young men and young women we coach and how they are today in their daily lives. I don't coach you for the game day. I coach you for your life. And that's what we have to do as us. And that's what, again, and I hate to be political, but I'm going to throw it out there. Our gay, white, Jewish, liberal media don't portray. They don't push that into our social medias and our other outlets to talk about legacy. But guess what? Every nonprofit, including the D9, have opportunities to go out there and put free ads, which is out there, to portray the same thing with Ebony, what Johnson Publication did with Ebony Magazine. You know what I'm saying? What they did for Jet. And then what Burler Graves did for Black Enterprise. But we don't have that anymore. That's gone. But guess what? Free media can get that to you now. But we worry about a gazillion likes and reincarnate, 30-second skits of dysfunction. And that create this false narrative in your mind. So, Chad, what your dad did probably 25, 30 years ago, now it's textbook. They don't say nothing. They just ghost and run away.
Quite.
That conversation would never took place in today's time.
No.
20, 30 years ago, you had to talk because there was nowhere to go. There was no such thing ghosts. You had to deal with a person direct. It wasn't a text message. Okay? It was that you had to physically engage. So it goes back to, let's make a full circle by being nice. Nice is a way to stay out the radar. Nice is fashionable. It's cool. But when you, like y'all said, or each one of you said, once you are that true identified individual, that true person, then there's always, and I'm going to tell you some, Chris, Brother Charles, Chad, Frederick, Trey, and Fabi, I'll guarantee. Have you ever been hit? Why are you talking like you my daddy? Why you treat me like you my daddy?
Absolutely. I ain't even that old. I ain't even that old.
Like you my dad. I'm taking this home like
man, you ain't lying, man. That's it right there, bro. That is it right there, man. Listen.
And if you've been told that, take your pat on your back, because that's called leadership. That's called being. That's called being who you are. And that's where I'm coming from at this. Don't be afraid to be who you are, to be that leader. You Pharaoh, you Moses, okay? Jesus had a leader too, who ran the land too. So again, leadership is what lacks. It's always have and always will be in our community. It's just not displayed on the gram, the book, the TikTok, and everything else.
But look what the masters did for him, trying to lead, trying to give him some wisdom. And I think that fear is where a lot of people get hamstrung, because it's not that there's a deficit. I truly believe this. I don't believe that there's a deficit of good or wise men. I think that they are allowed. I think that there is an obstacle of fear that gets in their way. We have plenty of stories of good men trying to impart wisdom to other men, and they get I'm not trying to get her hurt. I'm not Miss J. I'm not trying to get your show flagged or anything like that. But they get unalived for trying to impart wisdom. You trying to instruct a young cat, they don't like what you're saying because it rubs up against their current status quo and what they feel is as good as it gets in this, that, and third, and you trying to raise them to another standard, and they pull and fire. And it's unfortunate, not to say that that is happening on a random case, but we all have heard stories of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
the
next
brother,
again.
the
But
brother
that
trying to
starts with
sit in.
respect, though. That starts with respect with me. If I'm
Yeah.
if I'm going to approach you in a respectful manner, it's my expectation that you respect me in the same. That's an expectation. That's a demand for me.
If they
If you dis-
know what that even looks like, sure.
but that's okay. Disrespect will be returned in kind. So for me, you get what you give. If you give respect to me, then honestly, you're gonna get it back from me. But if I'm giving you respect and then you consciously choose to disrespect me, oh no, you getting back exactly what you give to me, and you might get it back 20 times worse. So for me as a man, respect is important. I'm pretty sure it's important for everybody that's on this panel, and I'm pretty sure every gentleman here, disrespect is not tolerated in any form. So if you're gonna do that with me, I'm gonna give you exactly what you're gonna give me. Respect me, I respect you. Disrespect me, well, I'm not responsible for what happens to you after you do that.
Hold on, let me
This
let me
grown,
get, let me get this
my
point.
bad. Nah, this
Fabian.
grown man talk right here, man. I love it.
Go ahead, Fabian.
Yeah, I have a different point of view slightly in that we have a communication problem with our young people and our older people and our elders. And I think at times we're using these old models for new age problems. And if you look at our suicide rates for Black teens are at an all-time high. That is something that we need to address right here, right now. Take a deep look inside and find out, ask these hard questions, have these hard conversations. Why is it happening? And I have to tell you, this communication thing, I get the tough love and the hard love, and we want the best for our young people, but we have to, in all honesty, be a little more nuanced in how we're communicating with our young people. What was good in 1984, 94, and 2004 is not working these days. It's clearly not working. So I would just ask that I would like to know your opinion on this. These rates are, needless to say, alarming. I'm sure y'all have heard about it in your own communities, and we really need to take a hard look on how we're parenting, how we're leading, and if maybe we need to ease up a little bit, play the
Bro,
long game a
hell
little
no.
better.
Hell no. Hell
No,
no.
man. Yeah,
Hell no.
yeah,
All
I'm gonna
right.
no,
break it
no,
down.
no.
I'm gonna break this
Yeah.
down. I'm
Who
gonna
was
break
that
this down.
talk? That's
Hold on one
Deidre.
second, Chris.
Go ahead.
Hold
Go
on. I'm gonna
ahead,
get this,
man.
Chris. We disagree. First thing, number one, it starts off based on how this union was created. Was it created as a sexual byproduct of a non-existent relationship? That's number one. Or was it created from a union? Okay. So that's the divide that we got to understand. Number two, as parents, you have to understand no child is going to be beautiful, cute, smart, intelligent, athletic. That's a given. Okay. So you have to be the first person have to tell that the first love has to come from the mother and the father in both. If you tell the child, I love you, I support you, and regardless, we ride or die for life. But if you step me wrong, you're going to see a whole nother come at your way. You have to establish a balance of accountability and you have to establish a level of love. And when you know that their parent got their back, trust me, I'm a living witness, man. Okay. So when all this suicide stuff, and I'm saying a good bit of because of the lack of identity at home
Mm.
when parents don't want to be adults, they still want to live their life. You know what I'm saying? The children were created by a side piece or a sneaky link or whatever demonic situation that create that. So if anything that doesn't come from love, it will always be destructible and be destructive and destructed. So Fabian, I'm not saying I don't disagree with you all, but again, it's a problem, but the suicide issue is one issue, but I'm worried about the kids all across the country who are zombies, who killing each other because there's no love in the home, Fabian. And that's where the issue lies. Hurting themselves is one thing, but hurting others and don't give a damn is just as bad or maybe considered worse
I say worse.
because of the lack of love. Because if you tell a child, I love you unconditionally, man, that child ain't got nothing. That's a swag any kid would need. Because trust me, Coach Chris can tell you now, we dealt with everybody else's kids, okay, in our lives. And when a kid know that somebody loved them, they ain't got nothing to worry about. Everything's about love and support. And it's not about financial. It's about emotional, spiritual support. And saying what you're saying, Fabian, all due respect. But changing parenting, no, we need to go back to old school ways and go back to accountability. Okay. So no, we're not gonna soften this shit up. We're not gonna pussify the way we raise our kids. Okay.
Well,
Because that's the
I
problem.
don't,
We have to set the standard.
I
No,
don't know if
we're
it's
not going to. No, let me say
pussifying.
this. Let me say this. I'm not finished, brother. I'm gonna let you roll. But again, we're not gonna let, you know what I'm saying, what they instituted back in after the Civil Rights Act, okay, what have destroyed our community to take over in the 2020s. We're not. That's what white liberals do. They're there to destroy us, to keep us oppressed. It's pre-1865, okay? And that's a whole nother conversation. We are the true social conservatives, and that's what we need to bring back. Chris, I know you want to roll with something, man.
Now, listen, I know Fabian got a tag in, man, but now listen, you said everything that I wanted to say, man. But that is it. I'm a fan of the old school ways because we were able to accomplish more with less instead of now we're doing, we're accomplishing less. And now that we have more, it's, man, listen, I'm not a fan of gentle parenting. I mean, when you push that, me personally, that's when I started to see these suicide rates. Gentle parenting, that's when I started to see all of this, kids talking back to their parents and doing this and that. Yes, kids need love, and that love comes in the form of discipline and structure so they can become the best version of themselves when they become adults. That's all I see nowadays. Suicide rates and all this other stuff. I see parents, like you said, brother, I see parents that want to live their best lives. I see parents that want to be their kids' best friend instead of being a father and a mother or whatever the case may be. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to, be their buddies at times. But when you're like their best friend and you twerking and doing the same stuff that they're doing, it's out of line. So yeah, we need to go back to old school values and morals and principles because our past generation, they were able to do a lot more with less because they had those principles and those morals and those values in place. All of this gentle parenting, it has wrecked generations and it has wrecked our community. And I'm like, you're the parent. Why is your child telling you what to do? Why is your child spazzing out at the grocery store? Why is your kid dominating the homes? That's when all these sources, that's when this suicide and all this other stuff, that's when that started happening. We got to move away from the gentle parenting and we got to get back to structure and discipline. And look, that's love, whether people like it or not. When you discipline a child, that is love. And it's done out of a form of just being genuine from the heart. But now, Deidre, you killed it though, man. That was it. I just wanted to add that, go back to the old school ways because it worked and it's evidence of it.
Okay, hold on.
Let
me get Let me get
chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
back. Go ahead, Fabian.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the numbers itself, and to kind of handpick a couple situations where parents are maybe trying to be their children's friend and all that. I get all that, but our young people face challenges they did not face 20, 30 years ago. We're in a different age now with the social media, whether we want to admit it or not. Our kids are under duress. And I just think it's time for us to change up. All I know is the numbers state that it's not working as is, whether tough, this or otherwise. It's time for us to change it up. You can call it soft, you can call it pussified. All I know, our young kids are dying at an alarming rate, and it ain't working. Thank you.
I'm going to attempt a synthesis between Brother Fabian and Brother Dedrick. Because both made very cool points. First of all, Brother Fabian, you used one of my favorite words, which is nuanced, and that's super duper important. And Brother Dedrick, you and Brother Chris, you definitely spoke volumes to maintaining a sense of order as far as the tried and true methods. What I would dare say is because we are in a more complex type of society, I would dare say that those tried and true methods have to be more surgically applied to what's happening, not even just with the kids, because part of what's happening with the suicide rate, and this is something that I actually studied back in school. Part of what's happening with the suicide rate, and you spoke to it, Brother Dedrick, as far as the identity crisis. If they're not being provided a structure, if they're not being guided into understanding who they are as individuals, and that's super important, who you are as individuals, and then as an individual, how you contribute to the household, and then how you contribute to the neighborhood, how you contribute to, your community, how you contribute to your state, your region, your nation, your world, so on and so forth. Without that without that tried and true old school method of structure and guidance and so on and so forth, they're walking out into the world with a very limited understanding of what options that they have. And you're only as effective as what options you're aware of. As far as if you don't have parents that are teaching you, hey, because I know this about you, because I've been observing you, because I'm paying attention to you, because I damn near study you as my child, and I'm seeing what you naturally gravitate to, right? Because you have a soul, just like I have a soul, and I had to figure out what I was good at, what I was not so good at, this, that, and third, what I had to do, and what I'm not so good at, what my highs and my lows were, what gets me going, what turns me off, so on and so forth. And if I'm not doing that to my child, if I'm not giving them guidance based off of what I understand development, and as a parent, most parents don't even understand how many different disciplines you have to do. You have to be a psychologist, you have to be a counselor, you have to be priest, prophet, king, chef, chauffeur, clothing, tailor, and for all of those hats that you have to give them to your kid so that they understand, oh, I have this range. Mom and dad showed me that I have this range that I fall into, because they pay attention to me, and because they understand themselves as well as enough, and because they understanding themselves poured into me, they have kind of a natural leg up on understanding who I am. And that's supposed to be cultivated. You're not supposed to be your kids' friends. You're supposed to be their guide.
But Chad,
And that's what's happened. It's a lack of guidance.
But Chad, how can you, when you had your dad had a very summit conversation that he was considering walking away. And so just say that situation when what Fabian was saying, that would have been the tipping point of your life. Okay. And your mama would have reinforced that if your daddy really loved you, he would be here. Okay. So again, what Fabian's saying, I understand that we have to make adjustments at halftime on how we raise our children, but we have to be detailed in parenting from the womb, how we create, and then we go through stages. We have to get our kids involved in extracurricular activities, allow them to be socially, because a lot of our children are socially awkward. So if I take a study and take the ones who are suicidal, I guarantee majority of them are socially awkward, because they never been exposed with different types of people where they love people outside the house and their own side of their home, and they want to be the social butterfly.
Favorite word. Exposure is one of my other favorite words.
It's exposure. But that comes back to the parent, like Fabian's saying, which I agree, and we got to reparent. Yeah, we do have to be more of a detailed parent about exposing our children to excellence, to greatness. You cannot raise kids by your damn self. You got to let others guide you along the way. Trey, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say one thing that I'm not hearing, and this is just what I think about in my parents. And I got a 17-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old, right? And my parents were older than all of my friends' parents growing up, so I was raised a little differently. So I agree with how my parents disciplined me to have me be who I am today, right? But the difference in how I raised my kids and my parents raising me was the communication and the understanding aspect of it, which I feel like today's kids are fighting to get. They're fighting to be able to tell you who they think they are. And us being these, parents of parents who never gave us voices. That's why like my platform is the voice of the voiceless, because I feel like a lot of times the youth today, they can't really speak about who they feel like they are. You know what I mean? They can't really tell you how they're really feeling, because a lot of times we want to tell them what they should be feeling. And that's why I feel like, that's why I feel like, to speak on what Mr. Fabian was saying, in terms of the suicide rate, if children had an outlet, whether they have a good or a bad parent, if they had an outlet of a dad or a mom that they could actually speak to about what they're going through, that would change the whole narrative. Like I come from a mother who, and just being candid, she didn't allow me to speak for myself, but she was a woman trying to raise me. Now, my dad, on the other hand, was 3 hours away, and he was pretty much telling me, well, tell me how you feel. What's going on, man? Be a man about it. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how I give the platform that I give my children. Of course, I'm going to give them, discipline and all of the things that I feel like I received, but it's in a different manner in a lot of ways. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to beat them till they're almost dead, you know what I mean? But I want to, give them what they need, but sternly, but at the same time, hear them out. Because what we don't hear now, we'll hear later. Trust, it'll definitely come out in the rinse if it don't come out in the wash.
But Trey, but you got to understand that your mother and your dad, they had a team together when they raised you. And so they knew the yin and the yang. They knew that, you got an offensive coordinator, you got a defensive coordinator, two different type of coaches. And so they knew how to coach you in your greatness of who you are. And that's the thing, is that people, the adults, are responsible for that avenue. And I don't care if it's suicide or crime in our streets. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because one of us in this call has been versely affected with that head on. Okay. And so, so we have to realize that we are raising zombies and we are creating zombies because mother and father, it takes two to make this work, and it takes two to fail. The two have to understand the role and the responsibility, because if I'm trying to get, some children tell the mama certain things and tell me the certain things and don't communicate the same thing. And it's not they holding back information. It's all based on the timing and where they feel comfortable that day. But the adults have to trust one another to make sure they find out what's really going on, what's happening. But the foundation has to be set by love.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you don't believe me, if you have your kid, give your kid a floor and at a graduation or even a Thanksgiving. And I got to tell people, and I challenge is all about listening audience. The next time there's a celebration at the house and everybody have an opportunity to speak, let the children speak and ask them to speak about your thanks. And if parents, if you want to get your flowers and get your pat in your back, let your kids roll. But if your kids don't have nothing to say, then you got to look yourself in the mirror on whatever you're doing. So again, that is what we don't. But again, we are not conditioned to communicate. And like what Ms. J said at the beginning of the broadcast, people are not heard. So it's not really gender fluid. It's just that whoever's the dominant queen in that environment don't want anything to be said, is because there's maybe an opportunity for accountability.
Okay.
Think about that.
Okay. Now
think about that, what I just said.
I've been sitting back and I've been listening. It's been some really good points being made. Don't get me wrong.
Chris, coach, laughing over there.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Dedrick. Don't do
Chris
it.
Laughing. Go back to accountability.
It is. The thing
you don't want to hear what you want to hear.
No, it's not that. Now, the thing of it is, like I said, there have been some really good points made, especially, with the children in the society today and things of that nature and how they're being influenced, right? But this is my point as well. One thing Trey said, even as a child growing up, he didn't necessarily have a voice, right? So there were a lot of times that he wasn't able to say what he really wanted to say. And I think, unfortunately, that is something that has plagued a lot of us as adults, okay? So getting into that aspect, as men, if you were raised not to necessarily have a voice or not to necessarily be able to say what it is that you felt and what it is that you feel, Don't you think that's why there are so many men now that may not be necessarily good men? They have been traumatized. They have been lacked the opportunity to be able to express themselves. And I really want Charles to speak on this because he actually is a psychiatrist as well, and he deals with people in the Army. But yes, they have a whole different level of trauma that they're dealing with. But think about it. You may be coming from a home just like that. And now you're being put into a position where not only do you have to try to balance that, but now you got to balance the fact that you're in a traumatic situation that could cost you your life. So now you're trying to balance all of this. You know what I mean? And my thing is, when do you have, or where is the outlet for you to be able to speak? Where is the outlet for men to be able to say, hey, I'm still carrying some, excuse my language, I'm still carrying some shit from 20 years ago that I don't know how to release. I don't know how to let that go. And this is why you have so many relationships or marriages that are not thriving the way that they should, because you got broken men. You got grown men that's literally little boys mentally, because they were not given the opportunity to be able to speak, and they were not given the opportunity to be heard. So now they're trying to basically live a life as a man, not knowing how to be one.
And Miss J, you know what? If I take part in a conversation with people my age group, some elders, 9 times out of 10, we're going to spend most of the conversation is going to be on what our young folks are not doing right. We start comparing generations. Back in the day, we had everything figured out, when in fact that is not the case. This generation is the most honest generation of my time. It rubs us the wrong way because they're so brutally honest. Yes, at times they don't have tact. Shit, at times we don't have tact. But they're not holding family secrets as much as we did. They're not holding church secrets. They are going about their business. They're not tied behind a desk and a chair for 40 years like many of us were conditioned to do. They're doing things their own way. And because they're so revolutionary, we have a big problem with them. We could actually learn from some of our young people, to be honest. Thank you.
Can I piggyback on that right quick? So even if, all right, so I'm 38, right? Even if we were those people, we were that generation that was almost rebelling against the norm. If you really think about it. So we started this. I feel like every generation that moves on to get older is different from the previous generation. Meaning, so me, I'm looking at my kids and the things that they're dealing with, and me not having a voice growing up, I'm giving them a voice. You get what I'm saying? Or allowing them to have their own. But I mean, of course, with respect and all of that, because that's who I am. But at the end of the day, I don't cut them off. I don't try to like be the voice for them because they're their own identity. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. You want to be able to structure your home and your children and to have them be raised in a way where they can go off and be prepared to be an adult, to have a life of their own and have, children of their own. But at the same time, if you don't communicate with your kids enough to know who they really are, you don't know who's coming out of your house. And that's the thing. Like, and I know, and I think like with the two coaches, right? The kids can talk to y'all because y'all give them an environment to communicate. So they might not have that environment at home. Like I could talk to my coaches. What makes me different than a lot of my friends is I had a Bible study group when I was growing up where I was able to actually vent and talk about, yo, my mom's just crazy. Like she don't know what it's like being me. Like she don't know what it's like to be a guy. And my dad, he's not in the house. You get what I'm saying? And my dad's older than my mom, so his standards are even more brash. You get what I'm saying? But he still gives me an opportunity to speak for myself because he's growing a man. But he still wasn't there working cohesively with my mom. They were two on two different spectrums trying to do one thing. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I look at the generation coming and I'm trying to learn from them, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, they always said growing up, their future is where we're going, right? That's what we need to be a part of. That's what we need to prepare for. If you don't understand that, you're not going to be able to thrive in the future because you don't understand it. Like think about our generation and being told how to use a phone.
and think about the kids now knowing coming out how to use that. It's like almost automatic for them. You get what I'm saying? Now ask them what their outlets are. We had the YMCA, we had sports. Most of these kids is going to be behind a computer screen shooting each other up, not understanding the quality of life. And that's why they're killing each other, because they think they can respawn tomorrow or whatever the case may be. They don't know. And that's real. Like, you got so many sensationalized visuals that's going out every second of the day. You know what I mean? All right, all this murdering and all of this and all of that. But at the same time, they don't understand the reality of that. And then they still don't have a voice. So we got to understand them first before we try to kind of control them. And then in my opinion, we got to hear them out. That's how you can't understand where somebody needs to go, how they need to move, if you don't hear them or see them. As a coach, you got to understand a weakness. You got to see he can't shoot or he can't run, but he can block. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Trey, I understand, but it goes back to I mean, I know Fabian brought in the issue of the of course suicide of children, but we got to go back to what the base is. This whole conversation is that how we create a union to avoid problems, and that springs from problems. Issue comes from suicide to other issues in our community, and how we formulate strong relationships. So that's what all this is about, and how we're valued as men, and we are valued, but of course it's not displayed. We have other avenues out there that we have to fight against stereotypes, what the a certain image is, and how to overcome somebody else or be the image of something. They give an example, Ms. J, that person you talking about, you can't get over 20 years ago, use an example. But if you bring Chad into your life, Chad is a damn good brother, but you want Chad to be the greatness and to be the perfect version of the person who not broke your heart, but broke your pride. And if Chad do anything that triggers on what you experienced, the adverse events that happen to the break of your relationship, then you out. Okay. And so is a no-win situation, because we all are clowns. You all wear the makeup, you put the BBLs, you put all the different touches and everything on you. We are natural, but then we have to be another clown about being a certain image of something to try to stay tuned with you, because you will not accept me for who I am. You stepping back. And this is real talk. And until we understand is that you have to accept the person for who they are, good, bad, and ugly, how in the hell can you move forward? You can't, because you're not 22.
Yeah, so there's a thing.
You set in your ways.
Hold on.
So you have a lot of things in your life that you are holding on to, that anybody step in, he could be damn Jesus of Nazareth. Still ain't gonna be good enough, because you're gonna find flaws in him, because your vision is so clouded based on what you had in your teens, in your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s, and damn near 50s. So ain't nobody gonna be good for you.
First off,
because
I agree with that, because
I'm using it as a prop.
Generalizing for other women.
No, it's not generalizing. No, this is straight up. This is straight up. It's not generalizing. No, it's not. It's not disagree. I disagree, Ms. J.
But that's your.
I know I disagree, because that is the way y'all hide behind and getting yourself right. Is where you hide. There ain't no good men out there. Yes, there are. You had every last one. You had one.
That is not.
I ain't never said you did.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Wait. Hold on, y'all. Let Mr. Charles get in there real quick, man.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Let Mr. Charles get in.
Yeah, you just hide behind Charles. This is what you're doing.
Not. Golly,
so
man.
there is a theme that I keep hearing for maybe the last hour or so, and there's two words: emotional intelligence. Now, I have 3 kids, 3 adult children, and my principles, my values, my mores does not change, but how I deliver it to each one of them does change, because they are different. They have their own personalities. I need to know my personnel. I need to know how to get that same message, that old school message, across to them where they can tolerate it. Because we can be hard, and guess what? They will do what they want to do, because they only hear hard. But this child has a soft heart, so I'm saying the same thing in a way that she can hear it. And there's this other thing that I keep hearing is that we all have a two-parent household or a two-parent geographical bachelor household. And really, there's probably just one parent. And then we have to go to the church or go to the coach to find that other that community that's going to stand in to teach these things. So we have to start operating from the framework of there is no two parents that's out there. Most of the time, and anecdotally, and even by research, there's only one parent. So we have to operate from that framework and find things that will give our kids a sense of belonging, because that's why they commit suicide, because they don't belong. They feel that way. It's called mental illness. So we have to address that part of it. All right.
I understand. I definitely understand the context in which you're saying that, Dr. Charles.
Me too. I do too. But I think the one thing I do want to amplify with this is this. I mean, and I'm pretty sure maybe one or two of you guys will agree with this, but at the same time, this is just how I see. This is just how I observe things. You know, we're men and we're fathers. All of us on here are fathers, right? But one of the things we have to be aware of, constantly aware of, that this world that we live in, we have to be aware that this world we live in will chew up and spit our kids out if we allow it. And I say that because that may have happened to that has happened to some of us as men. The world brought us, chewed us up and spit us out. I'm not saying it to anybody here, but I'm pretty sure there's a few examples around. And I agree with Dr. Charles. We have to try to find a way to talk to our children. I mean, all our children are human beings, so they're all different types of people. They're all different. They have different ways of doing things. We have to be able to find a way to do that. So that way, we have to give them the tools and the tactics so that they can survive in this world. I mean, no general wants to send their soldiers out to battle without giving them sound tactics and doctrine, right? I look at us as fathers, look at parents as the generals, and the kids and our children as soldiers. And that's a kind of a morose way to put it, but that's the best analogy that I can think of at the moment. We can't send our kids out in this world without sound doctrine, sound tactics, so that way they can survive in this world. Because if we don't give them the tactics or the doctrine, they're gonna go into this world either not prepared or underprepared.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna come back to us. They're gonna come back to us damaged, bruised, hurt, broken, and everything else in between. And then they're gonna expect the world, and then they're gonna expect the world to fix them. And that's not the world's job. It's their job as individuals, and it's our job as parents to make sure that they can fix themselves if they go out in their world.
Our job is. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just super duper quick. I was just about to say, just in the context of parenting, but I'm going to extend it to beyond that. Our job as just people, when it comes to the basic nature of interaction with not just our kids, but really with anybody, our job is to impart whatever it is we feel needs to be imparted to whoever's in front of us. All right. Significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, husband, wife, child, co-worker, neighbor, friend, foe, whatever. Our job is to impart what's needed for the situation in order for the quality of life to be improved. All right. That means that we have to, and this is why I understand quality communication and comprehension as being so crucial, because we have to learn our audience. When it comes to the context of our kids, our job as parents is to pay attention and observe what type of person that they are, and then cultivate that. All right, it's not a perfect science. I wish there was a book.
Mhm.
I wish I'd be the first one to buy it. I'd buy a copy for every last one of y'all and send it to you. I promise. But or I wish there was a book for general interaction. I wish there was a book for being able to expertly land, you know, communication between romantic situations or marriage situations and so on and so forth. Ain't no book like that been written and won't ever be.
Nope.
Because it's so complex, and you're not going to know what the next step is until you take the first one. In a lot of cases, that applies to parenthood, that applies to your work relationships, your romantic involvements, uh, you name it. Anything that has human interaction at its root. A lot of that you and all of us here have done some measure of training or had some sizable measure of experience in terms of that. And even for and all of us can say that not 100% of anything that we have learned or experienced applies to every situation. To we have to make adjustments. We have to make a change. We have to have, to a reasonable degree, some level of flexibility in order to be effective. Because for any of us to say that the same way works every single time for every single body, that's the liar on this post. That's the liar.
Yeah, right. Uh,
You know,
and Chad, if I could just piggyback on that, I agree with you. I think that we have to stop looking at our kids as some monolith, like they only think a certain way. Each child obviously is different. They have different needs. You need, as a good doctor said, we have to speak to each one of them differently. And I know that things get handed down in our communities, in our families, that we are beholden to. It's almost like the sacred cow. But I think in terms, if we want to use we've been using a lot of football analogy tonight. We're using the wishbone in 2024 in many instances. We need to really take a hard look at how we're disciplining, how we're using this heavy-handed approach, which might or might have not worked 40, 50, 30 years ago. It's not working with our kids in this generation. We have to always look to get better. And as far as that book never finishes. We have to be the one to keep writing the next chapter and the next chapter. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Baby, they put you in the
Y'all want to
closet,
slide
huh?
in real quick?
Yeah, he had to put that in the closet.
yeah, why you in
Put that man in the
man?
closet.
You on
oh,
punishment, brother Fabian? You on punishment?
That's
I don't know, man.
Because levity is good. Because
there
a
you
little bit of
go.
levity is good.
There you go.
Brother, it got dark and quiet. What, ain't nobody else around you now?
Yeah. Let my man breathe. He good, man. He handling business. He
It's
handling
all
his
good,
business.
brother.
He good.
Absolutely true. It's not a
Yeah.
question of
Mm.
he good. Okay, if he says he good, if he says he good, I believe him. But it's not a quality. We're all talking whether the black and white of whether or not something works. It's where does it work? Where does it work? All right. If it works for person A but not person B, figure out figure out how to do it for person B. If it works for A and B but not C and D, keep the method for A and B and figure out what needs to be adjusted in order to impart it to C and D. Like you said, brother Fabian, it's the add-on.
but Chad, I say this as a parent, and over the last 24 years, I mean, and even
Oh no,
coaching
what's that?
kids all my adult life, you know, it goes back to adults. We are responsible for the creation of the children and the maintenance of them. And until adults be
Hmm.
adults, I mean, and as parents, we
Yep.
only could do so much. So it's not
Hmm.
like we have kids on strings. You can you could talk to them this way, talk to them that way, But until you surround your children around good people, and as parents, we, like I always say in the hood, you could use that same damn Section 8 and live anywhere. Okay, that voucher can take you anywhere. Now, if you don't leave your great grandmama's house that you live in because you don't want to pay a mortgage or pay rent, and then you want your kids to be exposed to craziness of the area because you come from work and come straight home. Your children are the ones that absorb the community. They're the one who go to school with them. They're the one who have to walk home. They're the one who have to make friends with these people and try to survive around this jungle. Okay.
Mhm.
So as parents, we are responsible
Yep.
for the environment that we put our children in. So
Mhm.
again, it goes back to, it's not how we talk to them, it's what we
Mhm.
expose them to. And this is
Right.
this is not Jim Crow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm a mortgage bank. I'm gonna make this loud and clear. Okay. When I lend, I don't give a crap what zip code you in, the 4 states I lend to. If you qualify with whatever, you're gonna be in that house. And guess what? Every contract that I put a commitment letter behind with my name and say, hey, these people approve, there's almost an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 chances that contract will get pulled and will get accepted. Bottom line. And they go on my website, gumbolender.com, they see my black face on there. So it does. So again, and that's black, green, blue, whatever. I'm still a black man with the money because there's only one color called green. Okay. And so the point I'm getting at, we have choices. We can choose on what we put our children in a position for success. Coach Coach Chris and myself, we don't make a kid home if he cannot play a certain position. We're not going to put him there to fail. We're going to put a kid, we don't care about how if you're not good, you're not good. And I don't care about you're not good. I'm going to find out what you're great at. And I'm going to make your greatness become we're going to perfect your greatness. That's leadership. That's what we have to do in our homes. We have to be leaders. But we only good at our coaching staff.
That's facts right there.
And
That's
Chad, I'm going to
facts.
take this home for you. Chad, I'm going to take this home for you. We only good as our coaching staff. Every coach, head coach will always say, I could not do this without my coordinators and my assistant. So if Ms. J in my life is not a strong offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and a strong assistant, I'm good for nothing. So men, choose your baby mother, choose the woman you lay in the bed with, right? If we know where, like my mother told me, if you know where to put your ding-a-ling at and where you lay down with, it save a lot of drama. That is a public service announcement. Pick and choose who you put in the bedroom because ain't nobody put no gun in nobody's head to lay down with you. You choose who you lay with. So it starts with us. Accountability starts with each one of us. We decide who we lay down with. And until we make the right choices and we have to think about, is this person we lay with will be a powerful mother to a child? Because when you lay down, that could happen. That's what the purpose is. Okay. So everything starts based on if you lay down, is this the person who will be the damn greatest coach that who could be a head coach anywhere else, but they choose to be your assistant? That's the perfect woman for you.
See, listen, no lies told right there, man, brother. It's a tough message, but it's also right. I'm gonna slide in real quick, and I'm gonna be brief. What I don't want for the viewers and for other people I don't want people to get lost in this translation. When we talk about, well, listen, I had a voice coming up. I was able to voice my thoughts and emotions and opinions. But what I don't want people to get confused is that disrespectful voice. That's what me and Diedrich is talking about right there, man. You can't be a child and be disrespectful. You can have a voice, but don't be disrespectful with that voice. And that's where we're coming from. And I'm just only assuming most of the people that are watching, most of the people that are on this stage, you believe in structure, order, and guidance. That's Bible. That's God. And if anybody has an issue with it, you might want to go take a look at yourself, because if you got an issue with structure, guidance, and order, there's a problem. And when Diedrich is talking about, he's talking about parenting and accountability, that's what we provide right there. Listen, we want our kids to have a voice. Please speak up so I can know where you at. Please speak up. But what I'm not going to tolerate is disrespect. And that's the issue that we're having. And that's the issue with some youth. That's what they have. They want to be disrespectful. We ain't tolerating that. So yes, that's what them old school values sometimes going to come into play. You ain't gonna talk smack to me. You're gonna fall in line and you're gonna do what you're supposed to be. You're gonna do what you're told to do. 2024 people ain't trying to hear stuff like that. And that's why our community is in a wreck right now. Is because there's in some areas, in some families, in some communities, there's a lack of order, there's a lack of structure, and there's a lack of discipline and a lack of guidance because some youth, they don't want that. And Miss J, just to bring it back and to speak to what you was at the question that you was asking about, you know, when can someone be vulnerable or when can they be open or whatever the case may be. We talk about, you know, finding a place where you can be trustworthy, like finding people that's trustworthy or a space where you can be comfortable enough and this place, this safe spaces, it's trust here so I can open up. That's one phase of it, but what isn't talked about enough is that you got to do inner work. And I heard Deidre talking about that, the accountability piece. Listen, you got to show some type of accountability, some type of inner work. Because what's the point of you coming into a safe space and you're bringing old baggage to that safe space? Someone is providing you love, trust, great communication, all of these good things, but you're bringing old baggage. Imagine Bill Gates giving you $1 million, but because you got you know money trust issues from the past, and you can't receive that $1 million and operate in that $1 million correctly because you got financial issues from back in the past. It doesn't work. So you got to continue. You got to do some type of inner work. Yes, finding a safe space that's trustworthy is key. That's one element, but you got to do some type of inner work, and that applies to you. That also applies to adults. But I wanted to bring that back around full circle. When me and Deidre are talking about, we're not talking about someone taking a rod or a bat or a belt and beating kids upside the head. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about good old fashioned structure, order, discipline, and guidance. We want kids to have a voice, tell us what's going on with you, but do not be disrespectful with that. And that's the point that we're trying to make. There's too much of that running around. That's why you have elders in New York getting smacked upside their head on the subway because a youth doesn't have structure at home. And we got to get that on point right there. We can't be, I get it. People want to come into the new age with, certain talk and bring in different, new methods and things of that nature. I get that. I'm sorry, but it really doesn't work on a grand scheme of things because there's not any structure, there's not any order in this, and that's what God wants for all of us. And that's my stand, Deidre. I appreciate you. I appreciate the other brothers as well, for your stance when it comes to this type of thing of that nature. But man, listen, structure, order, and guidance, man, it never fails. It helped us back in the day, and it definitely darn sure will, it'll help us,
Need it
in
now.
2024. Absolutely.
Need it more than ever now. Ms. J, you can shut this baby down tonight, boo.
Oh, real quick. I'm sorry, man. Yo, Trey, bruh. No, it just real quick. I forgot to say, man, because see, I actually thought he was the youngest one on this live, but it's actually me, man. I'm 36, bro. So you got me by 2 years, fam.
And coach and everybody and our video viewing artists, that each man that's on here has totally different parent raising, totally different background, totally different journey. Everybody is different. We all different. We all have fingerprints. You know what I'm saying? And so when you bring somebody into your life, you have to realize you cannot compare or relate or understand. You take that book from that shelf and you go through that journey of life and you start multiple chapters beyond, or even finish the book off with him. And that's what we have to do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to relationships, you know what I'm saying? It's a new book. It's a new person. It's a new being. We all different. You know what I'm saying? We all ain't deadbeats. Ain't none of us deadbeats. It's none of us they go out and disrespect somebody. No, we imperfect. Yeah, we very much like Frederick say. What you always say, Frederick? What's your quote?
Perfectly imperfect.
Thank you. That's who we are. And so again, what you hear at brunch, what you hear from your pastor, you know what I'm saying? What you hear from your women's group, because they're all back together now, the women's conferences, you know what I'm saying? What you see on social media, that's all theatrics. That's virtually. What you see here in the Six Brothers here, that's your reality. But Jay, take us home.
You know, look, Dedrick, this is my show, okay?
Okay, take us home.
You've run it
Take us
enough
home.
tonight. You've
Take
run
us
it enough
home.
tonight, okay?
Take us home.
You've run it enough tonight. I appreciate you.
Take us home. Take us home. Leadership. We talked about accountability.
You know what?
He didn't.
I'll talk to you after the show.
We'll be all
Oh
right.
my God.
You go take care of your fam. I need you to focus on that.
Oh my
I
God.
need you to slow your roll, sir. That's what I need you to do. Okay?
Exhibit A. Are you been a great assistant coach?
I'm gonna let that go. Because you're not being a team player. Okay?
I need you to be offensive coordinator. I need you to run your
I'm
offense.
so glad I was muted.
You're not being a team player.
I'm so
here.
glad I was muted.
You're not being a team player. So you can't. What did you say? Your team is only as good as the leadership that runs it. Right now, your leadership skills are lacking, sir. I'm just gonna say that. Because
Again, you're the
coming
offensive
in-
coordinator. Run the plays. We need to get the plays out. Focus on the plays.
You know, I love you, Dedrick. I love you, Dedrick.
I love you more.
I love you, Dedrick. I love you. All I'm gonna say, I love
But we having a chance to cut jokes on the show today. You know, it was a very serious
that is
conversation.
True.
Yeah,
And I knew you would be the one. That's
you got to
what I
cut some jokes,
want.
but at the same time, too, is these are this series again. We have to make this where it's that people understand. We couldn't have the prophet Kevin Samuels to be the only brother to push this message.
Correct.
And because he was a confident brother that, and each one of us, you know, share the same thing, probably speak the same language he speaks. But again, is that we always worried about what goes below the belt. They focus on what goes above the belt. The above the belt is your mind and your heart and your soul. But we focus on what we're trying to achieve below the belt. Get away from below the belt and focus on what's above the belt. Never heard that before for Frederick, huh?
Yeah.
I know you have. Yes. Yeah. Got to focus above the belt. And that's half our battles. Yep. Majority of our battles, unfortunately. If we can focus on what's above the belt and our females partners can focus on if he has a great heart, if he has a great soul, and he's a very intelligent man. Why in the hell are we having this conversation today? It's like we based on, it's that westernization, the Western mind. We always want to do what our Western friends want us to be, just mandingos. We good to entertain. We good to entertain you on the field, entertain you on vocal or arts or whatever else, but we're not good for your brains and we're not good for your mind and your soul. And that's what we have to collectively as a people have to do. And so you don't have to be nice. Like I said, you could be a leader. You could be kind, as what Brother Chris said, you know, and kind and meek. But guess what? If you step in the wrong way, you're going to have a force going to come out your way, for the words of Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And that's what real men are. But until sisters make that as a minimum standard, we're always going to have these issues. And Ms. J, we start with you. We're going to let you take the lead on that.
Well, thank you for giving me the floor, Dedrick. I appreciate that. Again, as I was stating earlier, you know, I understand from your perspective that there are some women out here that are like that. Now, I can honestly say I don't consider myself that type of woman. I don't mind being a team player. I don't mind getting my hands dirty along with my mate and we get things together, because it's about building a unit. It's about building and growing together. But yet and still, again, a lot of women don't understand that. And somebody made a comment saying that, you know, the end goal is to get married, right? But really, that's just the beginning, because that's when the real work starts. you know, and a lot of people are not willing to do the work anymore. This has become a microwave society. Everybody wants stuff now. You know, they want it immediately, but they don't understand that there's a process that goes along with anything that we want or desire to have that's going to be good. You're going to have to put some skin in the game. You're going to have to put some elbow grease in it. You're going to have to do something in order to produce what it is that you desire to have. So, again, as I said earlier, I beg to differ that every woman is how you categorize them, because they are not. There are women out here that do understand the value and substance of a good man. But at the same time, we also have to fight battles with men that are not of that caliber. And then we have to be able to follow their lead. How can we expect to have a good leader if they don't even know how to lead? So we're just supposed to put our lives in the hands of somebody and say, hey, lead us, and you're going to lead us to destruction too. So, I mean, there are, just as men have issues, women do too. But again, this show is about you all, and it's about how we as women can be more effective in even helping you and in being the bridge that you all need. Yes, we can go on biblical principle and understand the value of why a woman was created. We weren't created to be the helpmate. And yes, across, you know, the generations, things have lacked, and women have dropped the ball in a lot of areas, but so have men. So it's now come a time in which we're going to have to regroup individually and figure out what is wrong with us or what needs to be changed within us so that we can be more effective to the person in which we have in our lives, or the person that we choose to have in our lives. But that's my point, Dedrick. So now I'm ready to shut it down. Now. But anyway.
I'm sorry, I'm mute. That's still, again, you make an excellent point. That was a great political statement. You shouldn't run for U.S. Senate. But again, we got to get head on. And again, we got to make a pledge to our sisters on what are you going to do to allow what type of man that you want in your life. Do you want entertainment of being nice? Do you want simps? Do you want busters? Or do you want excellence? And none of the message you said, Ms. J, we always want to, it's like that meme that you see on the Spider-Man, 3 Spider-Mans pointing at each other. You know, saying, no, folks got to take care of your offense. The defensive coordinator going to take care of his defense. And then, you know, and let's make sure that both teams are ready to go on field on game day and perform. So again, sisters, I need you to now start establishing minimum standards of greatness, of excellence. We got to go back to Black excellence. Now, my Lebanese brother, I know he's off the team here, so now we got all brothers here. We got to talk about, again, in the next topic.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm just keeping it real. I'm sorry.
He's Jamaican, sir.
You said what?
Get it
He's
right.
Jamaican?
He's Jamaican. Yes, he is.
He's Jamaican? Okay. Well, my Afro brothers born in USA. That's what I'm talking about right now. Okay. And I'm going to keep it 100. Okay. I'm talking about who are born in the USA. Okay. We have to focus on excellence. Okay. Black excellence is something, but again, we have to establish that. We got 6 brothers here, 5 of us, who've been part of this all of our adult lives. Sisters, especially you, Ms. J, you got to promote the torch. You got it. We got to make that a standard. Chris, you laughing over there, man.
Because you comical. That's why. You comical.
Yeah. No, I'm just being honest.
I'm not saying that you're not speaking of some relevance, but
yes, you ain't got to agree with me. I just want to make sure, because 90% of the crap that we get on social media is the untruth, but we're afraid to speak the truth. Correct. We always want to be filtered because we want to be politically correct. Let's be honest. We have to have honest conversations. It goes back to, and Frederick talk about this all the time. We got to be honest. We don't want to be honest.
Supremacy has a certain look and feel to it.
Yes.
Correct.
It's not there's very little room for there's very little room for wide interpretation
Mhm.
of it. Is it custom to each person? Yes, but at its root, you're saying black excellence. I kept saying supremacy because that's everybody's job. It is every man's job to be to strive for supremacy, not superiority, because that's relative to somebody else. I'm talking about supremacy as in just being, just like you said, excellence. I know we're being synonymous, Brother Dedrick, but it's not relative to anybody else. It is simply you at your best, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, recreationally, occupationally, professionally. Those are the 8 ones that I can think of.
I mean, if
If
we could just
everybody
sit
does,
down, if we could just sit down and have a conversation with each other, man, just sit down at the table and just speak and just say what it is that ails us or that's the problem and stuff like that. Then we can get to the building blocks of
Correct.
needing to do what we need to do as
I
far
don't
as
point
men and
fingers.
women. You know,
I don't point fingers. I understand everybody has a piece of the truth, and everybody's been told a lie, and
exactly.
some of us and all of us carry around a little bit of both.
But we live in a victim society, and that's what we got to get beyond. And I said on previous shows,
Absolutely,
we have to have a victorious mindset, not a victim mindset. So until we have a victorious mindset and stop trying to feel like everything's a struggle or I'm this, I'm that, and everything else, man, who gives two craps? Let's focus on what the blessings of God have given you. Because I always use this all the time. Right on 11 miles from my home is a center that's called the MD Anderson Cancer Center by the University of Texas. It's one of the renowned cancer hospitals in the world. There's people right now who's about to go into hospice tonight and who probably ain't gonna make it next week. But we worry about our problems. And these people would have your problems tenfold, 1,000-fold to trade your life for theirs if they had to. So get over it. God has given you another opportunity to move forward, and let's move forward. But again, we constantly getting fed from, again, the new age church, the Saturday and Sunday brunches, the girls' trips take it to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? And every other venue that we surround our counterparts surround ourselves in. So we can spin our wheels all day long, talk about the same stuff. But until there's corrective action take place, we ain't gonna move forward.
Well, that starts with each and every individual in it on here.
Correct.
How are we gonna be able to understand each other better if we're not healing our own land?
Correct.
And I'm not talking about land, physical land. I'm talking about the land of the heart and the soul and the mind. How are we gonna do that if we can't heal our own land? If we can't heal our own land, how are we gonna be able to help other people cross over as well? We're going to be ineffective to our spouses. We're going to be ineffective to our children, and we're going to be ineffective to society as a whole. So it does. So it starts in. So, and I don't know who said the inner thing. It starts with us as far as the inner work is concerned. Because if my land ain't healed, I can't be a good father. I can't be a great father to my kids. I can't be a great grandfather to my granddaughter. I can't be a great businessman. I can't be a great brother, son, uncle, nephew, none of those things. I can't be a great friend, confidant, none of those things if I'm not healed first. If my land isn't healed first, because if I'm not healed, I'm destroying everything else. I'm destroying everything in my wake because I'm not healed first.
Wait, Frederick, what you just said, you said something very powerful. We get our own, people get in their own way. The enemy is within self.
All day and twice on Sunday.
Because of fear. I think people fear more blessings and opportunities than they do because they expect failure. They expect drama. They expect animosity and strife. But when there's something of greatness out there, I think they fear that most because that means that we go back in our previous conversations, relinquishing means surrendering, lack of power, lack of control.
Or
Trust.
we give power to the wrong things and the wrong
Thank
people.
you.
allowing life situations to tell them that this is the best that can be achieved.
But it
And that's
goes
a,
back,
and that's a lie.
but Chad goes back to, and Frederick goes back to the great Alice Walker said, "You're fat, black, and you're ugly." So if you're fat and you're black and you're ugly, how do you? And as you've been told that your life, you've been told that you're not this, the opposite of that. How do you believe in yourself? So now we have to put clown suits on, and I'm talking about for our sisters, to try to be the opposite of that. And then deep inside of your heart, you still fat, black, and ugly because you don't love yourself. So you don't value you. How can you receive greatness and love if you don't value self? How can you? How can you accept structure if you don't value self? Because you're still in a survival mindset. You're not in a relinquishing, absorbing mindset. So how can you accept that leader, Brother Chris? How can you accept that leader? How can you accept that con man if you don't love self? Because all you're gonna do is cheat on me, all you're gonna do is abuse me, all you're gonna do is treat me crap. Because that's what you expect. Because that's what you had before. Because you didn't have a type. You didn't accept what's cute, fine, fuckable, and sexy. But you never accept a quality man because that's not what you really want. You want the image of one, but you don't want what it brings, which is called stability, structure, and accountability.
Hell, can we accept us first?
Yeah.
Can we accept us first before we even decide we want a wife or a husband? Can we accept us first?
That's a battle, brother. Frederick, that's a
real.
battle. And why I say it's a battle, in my opinion, I can't speak for anyone else, is because, as an early age and as a kid, people talk about getting bullying and picked on. I got picked on all my life. But I had to have a GSD mindset, a GDF mindset, just don't give a whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had to love self. And I had to say, hey, I had to come, and that's why we're talking about being nice and all the rest of stuff. I had to come and accept me for who I am. And sometimes it takes people way longer in life to accept who you are. And it took a couple of rejections, people turn it back on you to realize, hey, and like what Chad said, I think Chad had somebody mentioned it earlier, that young man you had talked to, is that, hey man, let that go. Somebody greatness is gonna come your way. And I'm paraphrasing. We have to have that same mindset. That bus take off. Greatness will come if you're patient. But you got to love self. It's hard, but it's easy. It's a choice.
It's the catalyst that allows us to pursue that greatness in the first place. Because we deem ourselves worthy of it.
But I think who carried the secrets to that? Goes back to parents. If your mama told you, Chad, you better look into any man I known in my life. You smarter than any man I known in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna be one or two or three females who truly gonna appreciate you. A lot of them gonna take advantage of you because they don't know you. But they're gonna be one or two or three. And when that one come, and I hope I live to see it, I'm gonna tell you that one I told you as a kid, that's the one that really wants you, that value you. That's when we talk about communication as a parent. That's being a coach, is prepare you for what's in life, to tell you you are the greatest. But very few, only 3 to 4 people in this lifetime gonna love you unconditionally. That's facts.
And see, what I'm hearing is affirming across the board. Whether it's a parent affirming their child, or as adults, us affirming ourselves. It's all like you guys are saying, it all goes back to accountability, looking within, the inner healing, that type of thing like that. Man, brother Diedrich, man, I feel like, man, we brothers from another mother. I appreciate the way that you're talking, because it's real talk. Because I had to develop a ruthless mindset, and when I speak like that, it's like, yo, what you mean by ruthless? I mean, I had to put me first in some categories. I've been the nice guy before. It gets you nowhere. There's no peace in that. At the end of the day, there's no success. At the end of the day, there's no real love. At the end of the day, none of that. But when you are a good man, when you're a kind man, when you develop a quote unquote ruthless mentality, man, there's a standard. There's boundaries that come with it, and it's more peace. And that's what we all getting at right now, man. Affirming. When I started to affirm myself, man, life began to change. Life became more peaceful. I began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Being a nice guy, man, is just a dark tunnel. Like it's a path to nowhere. When I became a good guy, man, life just became so much better, man. But I began to affirm myself. I began to speak highly of myself. I began to do the inner work, and that's when life around me began to change. And across the board, that's what we're getting at is affirming. Like speak highly of yourself, speak highly of each other. When you see another black man walking down the street, that's not your op or your enemy. That's another brother right there. Affirm him as a king. Affirm him as a brother. Affirm him like, yo, bro, you look sharp today. You look good. Like, fam, like, what's up? That type of thing like that. Affirm your wife, wives, women. Affirm your man. Affirm your husband, or whatever the case may be. Like, speak. We got to get back to a place of speaking highly of one another. We're society nowadays, man, on social media, man, we're so quick to judge, belittle, all these types of things like that. We got to get back to a place of affirming, speaking good of one another, and then like talking, speaking, and listening with an understanding. And man, we can go so much further with those types of mentality, just basic things. And this is old school stuff, man. And this is it trips me out when people shine it down, man. But these are old school things right here. These are old school values. Looking another grown man in his face, in his eyes, and saying, "Good morning, brother. You look good today. I want you to have a great day." We don't do stuff like that no more. You don't do stuff like that. When you ask a young black man, when you see another young black man looking at him, guess what he say? "Oh man, that's my op right there. That's my enemy right there." Like, no, bro. Like, that's your brother. Tell him good morning. Speak highly of him. This is what we getting at with old school values, man. But anyways, I don't want to take us all the way back to that. But man, listen, bro. We can go on and on.
But that is the Black American experience. Okay. Chris, don't filter that. That is our foundation. You know, we are the kings and the princes and the queens, you know what I'm saying, and the princess of the planet. That's why every culture love what we do. We set the tone and example.
Or they try to take it and appropriate it.
And let them, hey, I run a business. You know, it's, hey, I want to be our customer. Why not? We want them to be a consumer. It's not taking, and I know what people say, you know, they're not taking. I use an example, and from Baton Rouge, and I attended LSU. I finished from school in Alabama, and I look at that campus that they have become, I call it the modern day, Black university, and I speak that, but when you talk to people who went to HBCUs, they damn about to lose their damn mind when I say that, and I say that because that tells you that your work has been prevalent. There was days that they wouldn't even play our music. They wouldn't embrace Black culture. Now they do, which I'm like, wow, times have changed. Greatness. But what I want them to do, and which I need them to do, and what we need to do, we got to get back to the days where they've used our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers to raise their children. Because they knew their homes were dysfunctional. They knew that Big Mama came in their house and raised their children because they knew they were going to raise them structure. But now, Big Mama ain't no exist in our family. The grandmama's shaking her ass at the clubs right now at 42. Chris, you're telling the truth. I see them on Instagram, and Ms. J just affirmed it up. So where are we going to get to support and structure? Because me, when times is rough, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want to talk to Jonathan Sietta. I just drive 2.5 hours to see my grandmother. She cooked a meal. I said, "Grandma, I'm way up there." She's like, "Come on, what you want to eat? Do what you think is best." And she knew what I like. And I got in that house. She's like, "Okay, go, Dad, go eat." And once about halfway done to my meal, she sat down. "Why are you here? Let's talk." And that was a 3-hour conversation. It was a summit.
That reminded me of the conversation I had with my grandma when I ran away at 17.
See, Frederick, you see what I'm taking home to. And this is why I say, sisters, you hold This team cannot function without a great offense. We only can play defense for so long, but we got to keep getting out the field. My defense is going to get tired. So the offense is the woman. We only good. We can run the wishbone, the spread, the RPOs, all the other type of offenses. But until that offense is effective, LSU, Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy with a losing record. Damn near losing record. Because that offense, and I'm a season ticket LSU, and that was a performance I had never seen in my life for a quarterback. I thought Steve McNair was the greatest. He beat Steve McNair. Steve McNair passed the torch to him. And put a performance. One did on the side of Southern University against Southern. One did play for LSU, did against University of Florida. And I was both of those games. From 95 to 2024, 23, excuse me. And I use that is because you're not going to be great until our sisters set the standard. Don't worry about your checkbook. Don't worry about your pocketbook. Don't worry about all that stuff. Get your partner, get your ride or die. You're gonna fall together, you're gonna rise together. Stop trying to compete with other people. Stop trying to one-up other people and get you a ride or die person in your life. And God will take care of all your needs for you. So
that's the benediction right there, bro.
I know we had a couple of those tonight. But,
exactly. That's a benediction right there.
Sorry, Ms. J, but Ms. J, I love you. I love y'all guys, man. I thank y'all for being this evening. I got to drop out. I got to get back to work. But looking forward to next week. But listen, audience, this is real information. Ain't nothing cut. Ain't nothing filtered here. This is the raw truth. Yep.
Well, thank you.
Grown ass man conversation. Yeah.
Yes, and this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. So again, I respect you highly, and I'm always welcoming you to the show. You're like the tail feather of the group.
My energy comes from them guys. My energy comes from them.
Yep. It does, and I love it though. I love it. So thank you so much again for being here this evening. And to all the rest of you gentlemen, thank you so much for giving your points of view, for highlighting your standpoint in certain areas. Charles, I'm gonna have to bring you back because I got to give you some more time to speak. These brothers, some of these, well, I'm not gonna say, but you didn't get a good enough opportunity.
Things happen for a reason. I'm good.
But I'm definitely gonna get you to come back too. But either way, this has been a great opening to this whole series. I am definitely looking forward to the next two and everything that comes out of that as well. Thank you so much again, Charles, for being here. Coach Chris, Fred, Chad, and Trey. You all have been great. And we are going to end this. And I will see you all on next week. For those that are watching, thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the show and to our channel. And so that way you will be notified on next week's show. Thank you. And you all have a great night.
Find us on our social media page.
Tune in for our next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you won't miss out on any future episodes.